Health is wealth is a powerful adage that plays true to its meaning, but it has become a cliche that's often downplayed. COVID-19 pandemic has proven beyond doubt that hygiene is a key requirement for staying healthy and alive. This is the premise of discussion as we engage our women folk on this week's edition of The Gallery, A Woman's Perspective. Many thanks for joining us. I am Shiju Alabi. In 2019, the World Health Organization, WHO, estimated that 827,000 people in low and middle income countries die as a result of inadequate hygiene, sanitation, and water yearly. With her passion for health management, health promotion, and preventive medicine, our guest on the program has carved a niche for herself by combining managerial skills from both the private and public health sectors in Nigeria. A certified public health physician, 2 postgraduate diplomas in health, safety and environmental management, my guest is a bundle of goodies. Help me welcome Dr. Lara Oyadotun. You're welcome to the program. But let's go straight to the point. What is hygiene and how would you classify it? Because I know we have different types.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's absolutely important that we talk about hygiene this period, of course, with the COVID-19 pandemic ravaging the world presently. And so it's an apt topic for discussion for this period. And when we talk about hygiene, WHO actually defines it as practices or conditions that help to maintain good health and prevent diseases from spreading from one person to another. And as you rightly said, there's several classifications out there for hygiene. I'm sure you've heard about personal hygiene, you must have heard about communal hygiene, you must have heard about menstrual hygiene, food hygiene, sleep hygiene, personal services hygiene, and so on. So hygiene can pretty much be classified in so many different ways.
Can you help us elaborate on some of this, particularly this is a woman's show, as you know, and when you said menstrual hygiene for our young teenagers and of course even mature women, we have home hygiene, we have so many, that women need to be, informed about. So maybe you can elaborate a little on that. Also sleep hygiene, I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you rightly said, the women, we actually quite, we're superhumans. We shoulder so much responsibilities in the society, at home as well. And so apart from personal hygiene, which are practices that we carry out, hygiene practices that we carry out for ourselves, such as taking our bath every day, keeping our nails short, and so on, wearing clean clothes, grooming our hair, and all of that. Menstrual hygiene is so key to women. And of course, we are the only ones that observe menstrual periods. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about menstrual hygiene, it actually focuses a lot on ensuring that, for instance, during our menstrual periods, that we endeavor to change our sanitary towels at least every 4 to 6 hours. There's some
depending on the flow, though.
Well, there's something that could happen if you keep on sanitary towels for so long, or tampons for so long, something called toxic shock syndrome, which you do not want to happen to you. So regardless of the flow, a woman should actually endeavor to change her sanitary towels like every 4 to 6 hours. You shouldn't say that because your flow is light and so it's okay for you to use one sanitary towel for 24 hours. No, that's absolutely,
oh my God.
That's absolutely wrong. And during our menstrual periods, it's also important that we wear clean undergarments, we take our baths more often, and then we ensure generally that we maintain cleanliness. And so very important also, I realized that in my practice and over a long period of time, I realized that a lot of women actually practice douching, which is the practice of using in their quest to maintain good personal hygiene, and then maybe also in their quest to maintain good menstrual hygiene. They feel that if they haven't used soap and water soap in particular, or some disinfectant, or some intimate feminine wash to wash their genitals, they think that they're not clean down there yet. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. Once you wash your genitals and down below with water, you're actually quite fine, because washing it with all these other things could result in the normal flora being disrupted, and which could result in ill health. So it's actually quite important that we take note of that when we're talking about our personal hygiene as females and our menstrual hygiene as well.
How about sleep hygiene?
Sleep hygiene, you know, it's a very interesting field, and it would surprise you that there's so much research on sleep hygiene, and you would just ask yourself, isn't it to sleep and wake up? But apparently it's a lot more than that. It looks at your environment as well as the habits you have as regards sleep. And so you begin to wonder, in a city, in a mega city like Lagos, an ever bustling city, I think Lagos is like Africa's New York, New York.
Tell me.
You know, New York is the city that never goes to
Did
sleep.
you know that sometimes I do hear that people say Lagos, they are going abroad. For some people, Lagos is abroad.
Oh my. So Lagos, I dare say, is Africa's New York, because it never goes to sleep. And if you consider that it's really tough to have good sleep hygiene habits in Lagos. But when we talk about sleep hygiene, it has to do with taking care of your environment and your habits when it comes to sleep. So for instance, ensuring that, okay, you have a nice comfy space to sleep in. You ensure that you have a habit. You know that as an adult you need to sleep for at least perhaps about 8 hours every day. It's tough, right? You need to sleep for about 8 hours uninterrupted every day, because that's what keeps you healthy. And so you need to form that habit. You need to like have some time before going to bed to say, okay, like 30 minutes, in 30 minutes I would wind down gradually and get to sleep in bed. You also have to determine that, I realize that a lot of us, I'm also guilty, when we get to bed and, you know, we say we're trying to catch some sleep.
Yes.
We end up, you know, playing with our phones and we're on social media and all of that. So sleep hygiene typically has to do with how you take care of your sleep environment, how well you sleep, how comfortable your environment is, and the habits that you form. So you you know, there's some people that you ask, they say, oh, by 10 p.m. my phones are off and I'm on my bed strictly. I don't joke with my sleep. Because sleep, having adequate amount of sleep for an adequate number of hours is absolutely important for you to remain healthy. It affects your weight. It can affect your blood pressure.
It does?
Yes, it does. It can affect so many things. So it's important that we take our sleep hygiene very, very, very seriously. As women, it's tough, no doubt. We have to prepare children for school. We have to get ready to go to work as well. And some people are very religious. They stay up at night to pray and all of that. But sleep hygiene should be key on our minds as well.
Oh, excellent. Because I was just going to tell you that some of us don't switch off our phones. You know, we cannot afford to switch off our phones at any time of the day. And also, I was thinking maybe sleep hygiene will have something to do with snoring and, you know, having, you know, some drooling and all of that.
Well, not in
this context.
Not in this context.
Yes, because I mean, you wake up in the morning and you see some drools and you're wondering, where did that come from?
Oh, well.
Now, you know, when looking at all these classifications, it brings to mind something you mentioned just now, which is communal hygiene, particularly in this time of COVID-19. I don't know if that applies. And of course, mental hygiene. I don't know how that works. Maybe you can give us some enlightenment on that.
Well, in terms of communal hygiene and hygiene generally, this period, when we observe good personal hygiene, communal hygiene is hygiene that is achieved through the communal efforts of everyone. So it can be that, you know, we come out to clean our environment. It can be by the little contributions that each person makes towards maintaining good hygiene. And the truth about it is, when we maintain good communal hygiene, it also helps to stop the spread of diseases. If I maintain good personal hygiene and I do not come down with some disease or the other, it would be tough, it will be hard for me to infect you with same disease. And in terms of communal hygiene, when we all collectively decide that, oh, we're cleaning up these areas. You know, in recent times, there have been some movements of, oh, let's clean up this area. So the Lagos State Volunteer Corps, for instance,
Yeah.
they've been cleaning up certain areas. It would benefit all of us on the long run, because it would save our environment. I'm sure you've seen some areas when it rains, the drainages are clogged by bottles, styrofoam packs, and all of that. So when we maintain good communal hygiene, it actually, apart from saving the environment, it helps to, it gives aesthetic value to the environment, and it stops us from getting ill so often.
Yeah.
Because when we maintain good communal hygiene, we know that there's no stagnant water around us, so there's no breathing space for mosquitoes and other vermins, and generally it just keeps, you know, us healthy. And well, there's something I remembered which a lot of people don't really even take note of. This is away from communal hygiene now, and that is cosmetic hygiene. Yes. You know, a lot of women these days, you know, it's really trendy to have a party to attend, and we no longer take care of our makeup ourselves.
Yes.
We employ the services of commercial makeup artists.
Yes, because we don't know how to do it.
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. I don't know how to do it myself. I can't draw my eyebrows for, I can't. So guilty as charged. So, but what we don't realize is this. A lot of times we have these makeup artists come in, maybe because I'm a doctor, I'm particular about, oh, have you washed your hands? Just get into the bathroom, wash your hands. Yeah. When last did you clean your brushes? You know, it's amazing that makeup artist probably has used that same set of brushes for so many other women. And then she's coming to you and she's using the same set of brushes for you. And then she's using the same lip gloss for you that has touched the lips of so many other women. And then you can just imagine the easy transfer of germs. Absolutely. It will just go on like that. So a lot of women don't take that into consideration. For other personal services as well, such as when we have our manicures and our pedicures, I think a lot of people take their kits to the salons and all of that. But these are things, little things that can, even up to nail polish. Some studies have shown that hepatitis B can be transferred through the use of nail polish.
Wow. And
a lot of us just share nail polish in makeup and beauty parlors and all of that. So it's important that we take note of these little things. But another part of makeup hygiene is, like, you're looking so beautiful now, your face is well made up, and you get home and maybe you're so tired after the day's hustle and bustle.
And you didn't wipe it off.
And you don't wipe it off. And then it clogs the pores and then all of that. So it's important that, you know, we also take note of that, and we try to use non-comedogenic substances when we're as oils.
The grammar is getting bigger. Oh yeah.
Okay, so non-comedogenic oils are oils that will not clog your pores.
Okay, good.
So, for instance, maybe like jojoba oil, grapeseed oil, sweet almond oil. There's some oils that will not clog your pores.
Even the mention of that, people will go, that thing is going to be very expensive.
I don't buy it, but you know.
But they are good for the skin.
Yeah, as in you could even read a little more about that. It would not. So it's important that we also take, as women, I mean, it's so common nowadays.
Yes.
You can get your face done at a very cheap cost, but you could also be transferring a lot of germs in the process.
Yes, actually, one of our episodes, we did talk about how to care for your makeup brushes and all of that. Yeah. Interesting. Very nice. Women, how vital is it to keep your hygiene and that of your family in tip-top shape? The conversation continues shortly. It's the gallery, a woman's perspective. Dr. Yadotun is still here with us. Now, going back to this and probably just opening it up a little more, looking at people we interact with daily, you know, one can assess that the level of hygiene of each and everyone, you know, does vary. Now, are there factors that individuals can look at that may influence, you know, individuals' level of hygiene? Are there some factors maybe unknown to many and they can actually work around that to improve their hygiene?
Absolutely, Ma. There are quite a number of factors that could influence one's level of hygiene, personal hygiene. Um, Number one would be physical factors. You would agree with me that anyone who is physically challenged may have issues carrying out hygiene practices and may require help with such. I'm sure you would agree with me also that anyone who is ill, who has some ailment or the other, could also have issues, getting up to observe hygiene practices. And also, socioeconomic status has a huge role to play. If people live in conditions with poor sanitary facilities, if they don't have access to potable water, if they don't even have access to funds that would help enable them purchase the cheapest soaps and all of that, it would be difficult for them to maintain good hygiene. And there are some other factors like social practices. It's fashionable amongst we women to fix our nails and to have them so long and nice and nicely painted.
Yeah, this one is natural.
Okay.
No, just trying to be on the lighter note.
Yes. Artificial.
Yes.
It would surprise you
I
that
know,
you would come across.
It is fashionable. Absolutely.
Yes, but you would come across quite a number of women
Absolutely.
who have their eba from the night before
Lord.
stuck under their fingernails.
Oh.
And that would spread germs easily. Long nails would spread germs easily. And of course, we have cultural variations. I'm sure you know that in some cultures, for instance, it's absolutely okay to use maybe cow dung to clean the navel, the umbilical cord of a newborn. But that's not appropriate. So it's a bad hygiene practice. But in some cultures, it is still observed. Which is not supposed to be. So there are quite a number of factors.
What about physical status? How does that work?
The physical status is the one that has to do with being physically challenged.
Okay.
If somebody is like visually challenged, for instance, the person may require assistance. If the person is physically challenged, unable to walk, or has a problem with a limb or another, the person may require...
Yes, I pick personal preference that sometimes people actually just do prefer. How can you prefer to be dirty?
Well, it beats my imagination as well. But it also has to do with behavioral problems. Some people are may get addicted to some substance or the other, some psychoactive substance or the other.
Okay.
And if they abuse such substances, they lose interest in any other thing. They lose interest in such activities as hygiene practices. And if they don't, on the long run, they just go about looking tattered and, unkempt.
Now, does the practice of good hygiene has any impact on social standing or economic standing?
On social standing, yes. On economic standing, yes. On social standing, you would agree with me that if somebody walked in here looking unkempt and dirty and all of that, with the hair out of place, you would be put off and you'd be taken aback, and you would not, when they say the way you dress is the way you be addressed, it's actually quite true. So the way you look is the way you would be addressed. But if somebody walked in well-groomed, hair in place, not necessarily expensive, but the person looks neat and all of that, the person gives some level of self-esteem to the person and confidence and courage to the person, and you also would address the person that way. So it helps it gives the person good aesthetic values, and the person will be able to function better in social gatherings. And in terms of economic standing, it is indeed true that good hygiene practices is a catalyst for economic growth. And you would ask me how? If you practice good hygiene, if you have good hygiene practices, automatically you would more likely be healthy. You would experience good health. And if you experience good health, what happens? You're able to go to work, you're able to go to the farm, you're able to go to the market, wherever you earn a living, you're able to go there. Even as children, they're able to go to school and all of that. And what that means is that the illness days are reduced. Absenteeism at work is reduced. And what happens? There's increased productivity. And once there's increased productivity, as an entrepreneur, you would make more money. As somebody who works in a company, you have more value in the company, you add more value to the company. And that way you also make more money, and gradually we all become more prosperous, and our economic indices, one day at a time, one person at a time, keeps getting better.
Great. I'm going to actually digress. I'm going to digress a little bit. Lara Alabere.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did that come from? Because I want to talk about you now.
Okay, so this is it. I'm a medical doctor, about maybe 14 years post-graduation, and I'm a consultant public health physician. And over the years, I realized that there's a linguistic disconnect in healthcare.
I see.
So you come to me, you come to my practice, and I tell you, even as educated as you are, if I speak, there's some medical jargons I would speak right now, and you would not have a clue of what it means.
You did already. And I had to ask for clarification and understanding. Yes.
I realized that there's just this linguistic disconnect which we need to work on. Statistics show that only about 50-something% of the population really understand English. And if we continue to speak to them, so if we speak to a patient in a language that they understand, it would help them to, number one, they would adhere to instructions that you have given them.
And relate to you better.
They'll relate to you better because you're speaking their language.
Yes.
It gives them some form of confidence, some self-esteem to say that they can actually express themselves the way you would understand and the way they best understand. So they would understand your instructions, they would understand the disease better, and they would adhere to those instructions that you have given to them. You strike a chord more easily with them if you speak. You know, when we're abroad and maybe we're in a very strange country where it's rare to find black people, you know, once we see ourselves and you say a word in a local Nigerian language, immediately we click and we say, yummy, that kind of thing. So this is the same thing. It's important for us to bridge the disconnect in health care. If you speak all the English and they do not understand it, there would be no change. And that
can be frustrating.
Absolutely frustrating.
And even fatal.
Yes, I totally.
For the patient.
Yes, so you have to, over the years, I've worked in a lot of rural areas. And I've done a lot of health outreaches in rural areas. So that's what gave birth to Lara Alabere. And so I like to communicate medical information in Yoruba language. Yes. So I started doing short videos, less than 5 minutes, something that and even jingles and voice notes, something that would be informative. And the regular market woman in Ojuwoye market, the regular fisherman somewhere in Makoko or anywhere would be able to understand and take heed to instructions given.
Absolutely. But before we go, this is so interesting, and I cannot let you go without singing for me that your hygiene, song, that is so important. I mean, and it does resonate. I tell you that it does resonate. And the analogy you just gave, that, for you to be able to relate to your patients and the people that you are serving, this, even when they hear the song or just singing the song at home, they will be remembering, what you told them and all of that. So before we go, you are going to sing your very popular hygiene song.
I will. I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to. So
yes, go on. Yes.
Just before I sing that song,
yes,
it's also important that as women, I just remind you of the fact that our children have gone back to school, borders are open, and COVID-19 is still out there. So it's important that we take note of the precautionary measures and we ensure that we make use of them. We should wash our hands regularly. If our hands are visibly dirty, we can use soap and water. If they're not visibly dirty, we can use alcohol-based hand sanitizers. It's important that we maintain physical distance, and it's also absolutely important that we wear our face mask. And if we feel any symptoms, we can always call on the toll-free numbers that have been released by the government. And so to my song.
Yes.
It's a
is.
popular song that we all learnt as children.
Okay.
The first one. The second one was taught to me by my 2-year-old,
Ooh.
who listened to it on the Lagos State Education Radio
Wow.
during the COVID lockdown. And I would hear him singing, and I would wonder, what are you singing? So the first one is Ìmọ́tótó lolùṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo. Ìmọ́tótó lolùṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo. Ìmọ́tótó ilé, ìmọ́tótó ara, ìmọ́tótó oúnjẹ, ìmọ́tótó lolùṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo. Then
And the second one?
It used to be a matching song I later heard. So that's where he picked it from.
Yes.
So I wish I could stand up to match, but don't worry.
Yeah, we can stand up and match. Why not? Let's stand up and match. Yes, why not? We can stand up and match. Yes, yes, yes.
The second one. The second one is where Kiyoma.
That's it.
Jẹun tó dára lásìkò má jẹun jù. Where Kiyoma. Gé èékánná rẹ. Jẹun tó dára lásìkò má jẹun jù. That's
fantastic. Many thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma.
Who is this week's Sisioko? Find out.
Cecilia Bolaji Dada is a resourceful, articulate and innovative woman who worked extensively in the public service with over 15 years experience at both local and state government levels as an executive. A former member of the Lagos State Sports Commission, Mrs. Dada also served as the Executive Secretary at Papa Local Government. She is a corporate governance expert, strategic thinker, grassroots politician, and a versatile technocrat who brings her wealth of experience in political management, strategic communications, and public relations to bear at every opportunity.
Let's take some tidbits from the etiquette corner. More to come in a moment. Stay with us. Now, do join us same time next week. Stay well and stay safe. I am Shiju Alabi. Bye for now.